Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the third By the Minute Arsenal podcast of the 2016-2017 season. What a week. Multiple points, multiple goals, multiple cup draws, and even potentially multiple signings, although we will come to that later. So in honour of 3 points, there are three of us this week, so it's good to welcome Julia.
Hello.
Hello, Julia, and also Matt V.
Afternoon, evening. I guess we got carried away and we've made our own signing, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah, not for 50 million quid unless there's something on.
It's much more than that.
And Matt H in the chair as it is. There's a lot to talk about this week, so let's crack on. So Saturday afternoon, there's a pleasant game, the Watford game. Arsenal 3-1 win, 3 goals by half time. It was nice to be able to sort of actually relax by about 4 o'clock. That doesn't always happen. So, I mean, there's lots to talk about. Who would like to start with anyway? Julia, as your first one on this season, anything in particular that caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a long-term fan of Cazorla. I think he's amazing, and considering he hasn't had that much match experience compared to others since he came back after 6 months off, I think he put in a great performance, great passing, and he really blasted that penalty as well. That was great. And obviously, Ozil comes straight back in, brilliant. And obviously, Czech, another great performance, and have to mention Granit Xhaka. I hope I'm saying that right. I never know how to pronounce it. The stats don't lie. He attempted more passes, he made more tackles, more touches, and he covered the most ground at 11.65 kilometres. I think what a signing he's been. So I think it's all looking very positive.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago and about his slight propensity for a foul rather than a tackle, as it turned out. But that was fair enough in the first couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, certainly people seem to be raving about his contribution. Matt, what did you think?
I thought we were a lot more balanced this week. I think after our first podcast, we spoke about we were better going forward, and then Leicester game we were better defensively. But I think this was a more balanced performance all round. I think in the past couple of weeks we've spoken, Sanchez hasn't been great up front, but I think he benefited from Ozil being back, and he looked a lot better there on Saturday. But I imagine that'll probably be his last game up front. Now Giroud will be back, and then Perez, depending on where he plays. But yeah, a positive performance and positive result, which is what we wanted before the break, I guess.
Yeah, it's lovely to go into the break with a win, isn't it? Even if you haven't had a stellar start. I think we've shot up to, I think it's 8th in the table now. So obviously we're on the way back. I mean, the movement from Ozil for that third goal. I mean, all right, Watford defending could have perhaps been a little better. They sort of gave him the freedom of the park, but it was lovely that he made that run, and lovely that Sanchez saw him making that run. So that was a lovely goal from that sense. I wanted to mention Rob Holding, actually, because I happened to spot a stat at half-time and I followed it up. In the first half, every pass he made was completed. Every pass he attempted, I should say, was completed. And his overall stats were 40 out of 44. I don't want to turn it into a whole stat fest, but what's nice looking at them is there's quite a bit of range there. He's not just knocking it back and forth with Koscielny or something. And I thought it was worth bigging him up, because we may find he's not in the team if things work out as we think they will with the signings. I think it's been a pretty competent performance in coming into a team that's been struggling. So I just wanted to give him a mention, really, because I was impressed with him, as well as all the ones that all the people that you've both mentioned.
What guys, what did you think maybe were the less positive things about it? I mean, I've noticed that overall we had 55% possession on the game. Sorry to bring up stats again.
No, always good.
I did my homework. I still think, maybe I'm being harsh, that we need a bit more steel in that defence. I think we give a bit too much play to the other team. And with Watford, I mean, although they didn't disgrace themselves in any way, against another team, I just wonder if that's going to be an issue for us going forward. I mean, we've got an amazing goalkeeper, which certainly helps, but I don't know. Are we giving them too much of the ball?
Yeah, I don't think with Arsenal there's any lead that I'm ever comfortable that
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously, we were great in the first half, but once Watford scored that goal, we don't know whether to try and score another goal or to back off, and we sort of do neither. And they came close a couple of times to scoring a second, and if that had have happened, it probably would have been panic station. So yeah, we're not great at seeing a game out, whatever the score seems to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's in, say, the old days, wasn't that long ago, just a season or two ago, the possession, we'd have a lot, say 55, we'd have had a lot more 60
Yeah.
something, but
Yeah.
perhaps maybe this is just a team getting changing, not changing styles much, but just getting used to each other, and maybe that will get more like that, or maybe this is just the way they'll play from now on. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, given, I think the balance is much better, but yeah, there are still players to come back in, and of course there are, we think, new signings to integrate into the team, so that might make a difference. But yeah, I mean, it's worth noting. I think we do want to make sure the defence is strong, because it does look potentially brittle at times and has done for so long. I mean, the kit was obviously, I think, a negative point, but that might just be me.
Yeah, I'm not sure how blue and yellow is less of a clash than red with yellow.
It's I don't really know who makes the rules about who has to wear what when, but
it was because of the Watford goalkeeper wearing red, as I understand it. That's the sole reason that we had to play in blue.
I saw that somewhere. Yeah, I saw that. I wondered if that was true.
Make him change, for goodness sake. I know he's the home team, but
because goalkeepers can wear anything they like. They can be quite, they can be quite liberated with their choice.
Yellow and all sorts of colours, sort of fluorescent colours. So, but there you go. It just seems weird seeing Arsenal in such a deep blue colour. But whatever, we got to win, so I just hope we don't get superstitious about it now.
We'll all be down the shop buying. All right, so we can probably move on from the Watford game, because it was the kind of performance we'd like to see. It was very very comfortable. Obviously Watford did get one back towards the end, but even that didn't quite make me worry for once. Maybe I've got rusty over the summer. I'll be worrying about 2-goal leads with 10 minutes to go. Later on in the season, perhaps. Right, so let's get to it then. Let's get to the reason we're here. Well, not the reason we're here, but the thing we've been looking forward to, the signings. Now, apparently, I've just had a quick look. We're doing this on Monday evening. They haven't been confirmed yet, as far as I can tell.
No, they've both had medicals, but it's still that the paperwork needs doing, I believe.
Yeah.
But, what that actually means, I don't really know.
No.
I was reading quite an interesting article on, the myths around, especially deadline day, and actually what the reality is. It's not as sort of last minute and quick get the fax machine working as the papers would like to have us believe. So I think the fact that Wenger has sort of been so clear that they've had their medicals and everything, I think it's we can relax about that, and I'm really excited about these two. They really look great, and just be interesting to see how they slot in with the team.
Yeah, so we've got I mean, I had a look. You wait ages for a signing and nothing happens, and you wait ages again, nothing happens, and you have a bad start to the season, and then you get a couple. That seems to be the Arsenal way. So I'll start with Perez, just because I've got some stuff on him. His birthday is on the day of the Southampton game. There's a bit of exciting trivia for you. So yeah, from Deportivo, he scored 17 goals last season. He's got 1 in 1 this season. Do we think he's where's he going to play? Is he a replacement for Giroud, or is he an alternative? Do they play together? I mean, obviously there's a lot of talent when everyone's fit to try and fit in. What's going to happen, Matt? What do you think?
Well, I'm not going to adopt the stance of many who overnight became Deportivo experts. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about him.
Sorry, I realised that was a slightly unfair question as I was asking it, actually, because.
No, I won't judge his ability on YouTube videos. I'm sure there's compilations somewhere. But I would guess he's there to play up front. Might play, I don't know. I assume he would play up front, but maybe not immediately. I know Wenger likes to sort of ease the signing in slowly. But in the Euros, we saw Giroud perfectly capable of playing with another striker alongside him to some success. So I guess it gives us some options. How old is he? I remember.
He will be 20.
27.
Yeah, he'll be 28 on the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, so sort of should be in his prime. Yeah, we'll give him a chance. Hopefully he turns out to be what we need, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it may, because I mean, it was an unfair question because I don't really know what the answer is. I suppose the question really, in another way, is what do we want? How do we want Arsenal to play with a new signing? Do we want Giroud still there and this to be an alternative, or do we stick them both up together and see? I suppose it's a case of suck it and see to some extent. Julia, any thoughts? What do Arsenal need from a new signing that's a striker?
Oh God, consistency in scoring. Converting the many chances we get. I mean, that's been a problem lacking for some years. I mean, we've got great goal scorers, but we just don't have that consistency that we should have. So, if he gets a chance and bangs most of them in, I'll be extremely happy with him. I think we all will be. I'm just noting what Wenger said about him, because he was compared to Vardy, little known player from Leicester. Wenger said, "Yes, I like that one. That comparison, he means. He's a late developer. He played in a different position. He moves centrally in a successful way. I think he has good link-up qualities, good finishing qualities. Let's see if he can finish the job." Well, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right and Matt's right to say, let's not pretend to be experts because we're not. But I think new signings generally get a pretty fair crack of the whip from the fans, at least. I think that they're willing to give time most of the time. Yeah. So we'll give it a couple of. Well, they've got this bit of a break now. Now, if I remember rightly, he isn't on international duty this week or anything, so he can go straight into what remains of the squad.
Yeah, there's obviously Arsenal fans have been calling out for a world-class striker, but in terms of strikers we've had on the whole, there's been a pretty low bar set. There have been dreadful ones, so I'm sure he won't rank near the bottom of recent of signings. I'm sure he'll compare well, but obviously there's a lot of pressure going to be immediately on him to score goals straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see how he does. Mustafi, of course, the signing, a defender from Valencia, also a German international. Now I don't know if this will make any difference, but he has some experience of the English game. Well, he has the experience of the English game from the bench, pretty much. He was signed for Everton for, I think, 2 or 3 seasons and only played, I think, not much more than once. So that was about 5-6 years ago now, I think. So he's the more expensive, I believe, of the two in terms of the signing fee. Mm-hmm. I think, again, I'm not going to pretend anyone's an expert, but he's the more obvious. Well, I'm sorry, they're both quite obvious, but he's the easier person to slot into the team, I suppose is what I'm saying. He's a centre back, and he will go into one of those 2 centre back positions unless there's anything I'm missing. Matt, do you know anything different?
No, I know he has played right back a lot of the time for Germany, but he is mainly a centre back for Valencia, I think. And obviously we've got Bellerin at right back, so I assume he'll partner Koscielny. It's dragged on for a while, so nice to actually sign him. More of a known quality, I guess. I think he'll be a really good sign-in, one that we need.
And we can give some credit to Mesut Ozil for that. Apparently, Mustafi said that Ozil convinced him to join Arsenal, which I should think so too. And he said Arsenal's attractive style of play is another factor contributing to his decision. But one quite funny bit, he said, "I have always loved Arsenal. I like how they play here. It is not typical English." Well,
well, can't argue with that, I suppose. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, though. That's the other.
He goes on to say the game here is more like Spain, and with the German national team keeping the ball on the grass, so it's easy to convince me.
Well, and so do we see? It's saying the right things. Do we see either or both of them starting against Southampton?
I think Mustafi probably will. I'd guess Perez probably wouldn't.
That was my thinking.
I assume he might come on from the bench, but I'd assume Mustafi will start straight away.
I agree.
Okay, and I will just. I hope that. I mean, I don't think it will with the way our central defence is, but I think as long as that doesn't reflect badly on Holding or knock him out of selection for any time soon, just because he's looked pretty competent. So it'll be nice to be able to rotate people. I know with defence, with central defenders particularly, you don't always want to do that, but
Mhm.
it would be nice to at least have the option if someone does have a little knock or something like that, which we just don't seem to have had recently. So at least maybe it's good that Holding had these few games to get used to things. But maybe I'm just looking on the bright side. I don't know.
Do either of you think we'll sign any more players? Or do you think that's it?
Oh God, you're getting giddy now after two.
Got carried away.
Personally, no, I don't think so. And Arsene, I think, said something along those lines. I know, he might be keeping cards close to his chest, but I don't know. Julia, any
I
guesses?
can't see it, but I would love a surprise because it tends to be the surprise signings where Arsenal have been back in the day, been quite good at pulling, a surprise signing out that we haven't anticipated. So I'd love that because that would really shut people up. But this is not bad going for this. Makes a pleasant change and at this deadline time.
Well, it's been a bit late, but it does seem to be so far. And obviously, we need to see them play, but the right people in the right positions, and that's pleasing and quite surprising. I kept thinking there was going to be something weird going on, but okay. So we'll see how they do. So we think there might be appearances for one or possibly another one from the bench by on the Southampton game.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, then let's have a look quickly at some cup draws that were made this week. So I will mention the League Cup. What's it called? EFL Cup. Is that right now? I think that's it.
Like a sponsor cup, I think it's called.
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. Forest, and I've completely forgotten if it's home or away. It's away, isn't it?
Away, yeah.
That's only a couple of weeks, so I believe that's the September the 20th, 21st, or something like that. Well, I mean, I know Arsenal have a interesting relationship with the League Cup. I mean, they've done reasonably well over the few years, but with playing the youngsters, I say the youngsters, it's not really youngsters, it's reserves that tend to be the ones who, it might be a fairer sort of way of describing it. Do we think, are we going to go for this? Is this going to be a competition we go for, or is it just going to be the usual kind of thing?
I think it's going to be the usual kind of thing. I mean, it might be a good way for our new signings to get a bit more experience and those sort of good people we've got on the bench to get stuck in. But I suspect he's going to bring on some youngsters as he usually does. Not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah. I mean, I'm just looking the dates to be confirmed. It's the one of two dates for this one, so yeah, I don't know how that's going to fit in, but no, I don't think it'd be anything particularly different to normal with the League Cup.
Yeah.
After the roaring success of our trip to Sheffield Wednesday last year,
I'd forgotten about that. Yes.
I don't think the problem in itself is losing in the League Cup, but obviously the knock-on effects of what happens after that. Traditionally, once we have been knocked out of one competition, it does really badly affect our other ones. So it would be nice, I mean, if we just sort of quietly slipped out if we were going to lose, as opposed to getting battered. But
Yeah.
I imagine we have got quite a lot of depth, especially in midfield. So I imagine it will still be quite a strong team, even if a number of sort of first-team players aren't playing.
Yeah. I think you're spot on, Matt, because that's on the 20th or the 21st of September.
Mhm.
24th, we've got Chelsea at home, and the 28th, we've got Basel at home, both massive games in the Premier League and the Champions League. So you're right. Psychologically, we need a win, really. And I think, you're right, we won't have a full first-team squad out, but I think we'll have enough on the bench that if we do get a bit unstuck, then he can recover it, I would hope. But to be honest, I'm not sure how Forest are playing at the moment, so I'm not sure how much of a test this is. No offence to Forest.
No, well, I mean, interesting if someone like Wiltshire gets a game, and Chambers, if he's still around, of course, because there seems to be talk of him going on loan.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting one. Again, it's a player I quite like, but I wonder if he's going to end up being the kind of Jenkinson type, where he ends up, we don't see very much of him basically because he's off loan to various parts of the clubs around the country. But we'll see how that all shakes out over the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Champions League also drawn in. So I didn't actually see the ceremony, but I imagine it was some interminable one.
Seems
but
to be, yeah.
PSG, Basel, and Ludogorets. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yep.
well, PSG, the obvious, the big team, if you like, along. So dare I say, along with us? Maybe that's not. Maybe that's slightly aggrandising ourselves. With the other two teams, so will Arsenal make qualification easy or difficult this year? Matt, any thoughts?
Difficult. We do seem to quite often get drawn in groups where there's seems to be an obvious top two in one order or another. And we'd expect to get into the top two, but end up doing it in quite a hard way and having to pull something out the bag in the final game. It would be nice if we didn't have to do that this time. But I think it's a pretty good draw. Some new teams for us. I think PSG is not a bad team to get in terms of the top teams, as long as David Luiz is still playing. I think we should be able to get through easily enough. Whether we do is a very different thing, I guess.
Yeah, we start away to PSG, so in a way that's our trickiest game out of the way. You would, on paper at least. I mean, I did see something somewhere, and so it's a bit vague, so I can't remember this week, about this idea that because teams like PSG and to a lesser extent Munich essentially have a cakewalk in their domestic competition, they're not necessarily ready, for the higher, dare I say, higher quality of the Champions League. I think that was slightly clutching at straws, maybe, but it maybe meeting them this stage in the season isn't a bad thing. It would get the away. If we could get a point from there, I think we'd be set up quite nicely. And yeah, Basel always seem to be hanging around, don't they? But they don't threaten the last 16 on a regular basis. So I think we'll be okay. I think it might be a boringly okay qualification, which that would be nice.
I'd take that.
Yeah, Julia, any thoughts?
I agree. I mean, on paper, really, we should be fairly happy with that draw. PSG are the biggest threat. Hopefully, Granit Xhaka can give us all the inside gen on Basel because he was there for a number of years.
Oh, his brother's still there, isn't he? Is that where I got? If I remember.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
And Ludogorets, the thing I remember about them is when they played Liverpool a couple of seasons ago, they've got one of the live mascots. There's 3 in European football, and they've got an eagle. And it was paraded around the pitch. So I'm quite looking forward to that, having a go at Gunnosaurus.
Yes,
actually.
absolutely.
This is the technical insight you can expect from me.
So we need Gunnosaurus to sort of take down the eagle as a big psychological blow early on.
Yeah.
If we can take the eagle, we've got it.
Sort of feed it some toffee or something, so it can't talk, whatever eagles do. But that would be quite interesting to see that going around the Emirates. It does get paraded around, so it must like noise.
Many years ago, I took a previous girlfriend to an Arsenal game, and she saw Gunnosaurus and didn't really know much about sport and about this idea of mascots, and she was disappointed with his performance, shall we say. So she called him the costumed idiot, and it's stuck ever since. So I'm sorry if there's any Gunnosaurus fans, but that's always what I think of now when I see him. Oh look, there's a costumed idiot.
The green thing, the mate I sit with, he hates him. He's like, oh, there's a green thing. Whereas I'm really fond of Gunnosaurus.
I think he's harmless, and the kids seem to like him. So that's what he's there for, I suppose. Not really for us, but there we go. Right, well, we're doing well for time, but let's squeeze in a preview as such. So we've got the next home game, which is after the international break, of course. So not until the 10th of September, or Lucas Perez's birthday, as I like to think of it now, having found that out about 10 minutes ago. So Southampton, we're at home. It's Southampton. It's another 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff, I believe, weirdly. Southampton are yet to win. They've had 2 draws and a defeat. Their defeat was at Man United. They drew with Watford and with Sunderland, I think it was, on Saturday. Obviously, they've gone through their annual rebuilding process in the summer as their players and managers or whatever all move around. We should be looking for 3 points for this, shouldn't we, Matt?
Yeah.
Yes.
Both of you, obviously, but whoever wants to go first.
No, we should. I think up front they've been playing Nathan Redmond and then Shane Long or Charlie Austin. I don't think they've scored many goals, so hopefully we can keep a clean sheet, and if we do that, you'd fancy us to be able to score a goal against them, especially when Perez comes off the bench, buoyed by his birthday celebration, to score a hat-trick and win the game for us. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
So that would be great.
I see Southampton have spent a huge £16 million on Sofiane Boufal on a 5-year contract, but they had sold 3 players, so they had plenty of money in that respect. So that's their exciting news. But yes, we should be a nice win for us at home. I would hope that the crowd are supportive and all the good things. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, Southampton have only scored 2 goals. We've scored 6. So I know that's a simplistic way of looking at it, but it's certainly worth noting. Obviously, the Leicester game, which we discussed last week, was just one of those games, really, wasn't it, where there wasn't much going on in terms of goals. But in the other 2 games, we've had no problem scoring. It was just in one of them we decided to let a few in as well. So yeah, let's hope for 3 weeks. And 3 weeks, 3 points.
Yeah, I can't be doing 3 weeks of an international break.
No, it's long enough as it is already. And obviously, we want all our players to come back safe. It always does sound like we're sending them to war or something.
Exactly.
They do come back a bit like they've been in a brief war as well, some of them. But, all right then. So we will be back, I think, in 2 weeks, unless we sign, someone that we're really not expecting over the next week or so. So we'll keep that as an option, but probably we'll be back after that Southampton game. So we'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you.
And thank you, Julia.
Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for listening, and we will be back in a couple of weeks. Take care.